Welcome to NefariousCast.com. I'm Joshua, I'm your host, and we're returning this week in a series on character. Last week we touched on integrity and how it's kind of a foundation to things. It's like the hull of a ship and how well it's built and can it take a beating and withstand the trials that come up each week? Or is it paper thin and crumples at the first sign of trouble? So we dipped into that a little bit, and this week we are going to be talking about its brother that kind of goes hand in hand with each other, and that's honesty. And before we start off our little discussion, I'm going to read a couple of things for you. First of all, we've got something that's coming from a site on the web called The Mindful. And it's stated, character traits are the psychological and moral qualities that are distinctive of an individual. And I think that kind of nails it on the head. Character traits are the psychological and moral qualities that make up an individual. Character is very much something inside of you. It's the person you are. And when you, in my personal opinion, there was a lot of things on the web, but they're more describing personality traits and behavioral traits. And I think there's a lot of people that are kind of missing the mark on that. Because personality traits and things are, in my opinion, how character gets exhibited. Okay, your character as an individual comes out through your personality and through your behavior, and that's what allows everybody to see. I went on Indeed and read what they had to say. And they said, character traits are individual parts of your personality and behavior that express who you are as a person. I think, as I said before, it's a little off on their description. There was more to what they were saying. They were coming from a point of view of of an employee-employer relationship, and I think they skewed it a little bit. They kind of tailored it to their own idea. Again, your character traits are, those honesty, integrity, caring, things of those. Those are character traits. But they're not part of your personality. Your personality is how those come out. Okay, in my opinion, you can be funny. You can be, they had long-lasting and different other traits, I guess, in there. But that's your personality. Okay, you can exhibit your personality to other people, but the person you are, your character, is that which sticks with you. Your personality isn't always the true form of you at times, or to some people. So don't mistake that personality traits and behavior as being character. Usually those are how character gets shown, but that's not always the case. And I think that's why when you mix the two, you're not giving an accurate description of character. There was another site I went on. It was called Positive Psychology, and it was an article about personality and character traits. And I'm going to read to you what it said. There was more to it. It really didn't touch on a whole lot else other than giving examples of what they were talking about in this one paragraph. So I'm going to read it to you. They said, we would all benefit from being more aware of our characteristics and personality traits. Again, got the personality traits with, now they're saying characteristics. They're not even really saying character traits. And then they go on to say, that's because they are significant predictors of our behaviors and attitudes. Without a clear idea of one's own preferences, Making the right choice can be extremely difficult and confusing. Everyone's personality is unique, and knowing what makes us who we are can lead to more life satisfaction, better life choices, and overall success in both personal and professional spheres. It went on to quote a gentleman, I believe they listed Lickerman in 2011, and I went back, did some research, and I'm pretty sure it's this Alex Lickerman. He seems to have a lot out there on some of these, not really on character, but a lot of different things on the net. And so I'm pretty sure it's this Alex Lickerman in 2011 that stated, here's what he said: character, on the other hand, takes far longer to puzzle out. It includes traits that reveal themselves only in specific and often uncommon circumstances. Traits like honesty, virtue, and kindness. Now, we're going to talk about that a little bit. According to what they are saying in this article, you are the one who chooses whether your character is right or wrong. And that I disagree with. I think that this is kind of a wishy-washy type of way to not actually deal with what character is. They really didn't define anything about character at all. They're basically saying that you get to choose whether your character is right or wrong and choose your life choices according to that. So even if your character would be deemed bad by society, religious beliefs, other people, rudeness, you could decide that you are a rude person and you're angry, or whatever the case may be, and that rudeness comes out, and you could decide that's just who you are, and that's okay, even though that it's really a bad character trait. So I think society is trying to nail down, much like what we're dealing with in other things I've talked about in previous videos. It's only bad if you think it's bad. Well, that's obviously not the case. You go out and murder somebody. Yeah, that's going to be bad deemed by everybody. You're going to go to jail, or you can get the death sentence. So that theory of it's only bad if you think it's bad, and it's that doesn't really fly. Okay, this article of knowing oneself and your character, you're the captain of your own character ship. To some degree, I would say if they had put it that way, yeah, that's true. You are in control of that. You can choose to be a person of good character or bad character. But make no mistake, that is not the same as choosing that your character is good because you say it's good. Okay? There has to be a litmus test. There has to be something there that you compare it to. Okay, it's not just this floating thing that Johnny Appleseed over here says that going and tripping people all around town is a bad thing, but when you do it, you decide no, it's a good thing. People need to be tripped. That's not how it works. There has to be a standard. Okay. There's always a litmus test that you hold, that you compare things to. All right, and it's it's morality. It's we're back to morals again. So I think that this article really missed what actually character is. I think that the second part of the article, which is the quote. I think when Lickerman goes to say that it takes far longer to puzzle out, and that a person's character traits are uncommon, and it's uncommon for people to reveal them. I think that's absolutely wrong. I think that you exhibit your character every day when you interact with people. You, even when you're not around people, you're exhibiting character, with how you deal with yourself. You could lie to yourself. There, we're talking about honesty, and that's one of the things with honesty is that it's not just lying to other people. Sometimes you could lie to yourself. So I think that's wrong, because I think people's character is exhibited every day, and it's not hard to see. If you're interacting with people, someone is going to get to know what type of person you are. They may not get to know the exact type of person, but they're going to see some sort of character trait from you, how you're dealing with them, how you're dealing with the situation, and so on. So I think that article is definitely not something that I agree with. So be careful when you go on the internet and what you read. Really weigh out what the person's saying, and give it some thought. Break it down into its simplest components. See if you agree with it, because if you go on to do any kind of research on this type of stuff, you're going to find a lot of things out there, and not all of it's going to be true. And really think about it in your head, the philosophy of it. That being said, let's dip into honesty real quick. I'm going to read you Webster's version, or their dictionary explanation on honesty. And there's a couple that deal with flowers and plants I am not going to read. That's number 2 listed in Webster. So now I'm going to read number 1, A and B. So A is adherence to the facts, sincerity. And they give an example: doubted the honesty of a witness. Okay. B under number 1 is fairness and straightforwardness of conduct. Like calling for honesty in politics. So that's their little example. Then you have the flower thing under number 2, which was okay, whatever. And then they have a number 3, and it's and it's hard for me to pronounce, but it's obsolete. It's not well, maybe it is. Maybe it's just a bad print off. Yeah, obsolete or obsolete. And then it goes on to say chastity. But it looks like an I. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. But in any case, that's what they're listing. And I think the first one kind of I don't know how much chastity I would agree is part of that. I think that's if you're chaste, that's something different. You're abstaining from something at that point. You're keeping yourself pure. You're I guess it could be honesty under that particular type of scenario. You're chaste. You're someone who doesn't think of it along the way the lines of somebody who stays a virgin all their life until they get married. That person is chaste. They're trying to keep themselves pure until they get married. So I wouldn't say that's exactly honest, but I guess the purity factor goes with honesty. But I do agree with number 1, adherence to the facts and fairness and straightforwardness of conduct. Those two things is basically what we're going to touch on today. And they went in to give some synonyms for honesty. You got honesty, honor, integrity, probity, uprightness of character or action. Honesty implies a refusal to lie, steal, or deceive in any way. You have honor, which is another part of that. And then you have integrity, which implies trustworthiness and incorruptibility to a degree that one is incapable of being false to a trust responsibly or pledge. So, like I said, you have these things that go hand in hand with one another. So, I think we're all tested with honesty every day. I think it's a rare occasion when we're not. I hung out at home today mostly for several hours, but I did get out, and I went and ran some errands and interacted with some people. I didn't lie or anything to anybody, and I think that for the most part, that's how most people's days kind of go. But I know I fail at times. At work, you want to, as an inspector, sometimes, you got these contractors that will test your patience, and they test your character all the time. And you can't, I've already said my biggest problem is tact. I can't just look at a welder and say, listen, your weld is freaking horrible. You should go build screen doors for a living, instead of welding on something important like pipe or a building or something. You can't tell people that, okay? As much as you may want to, you just can't. You have to read the people you're with and how you have to deal with these individuals. So, in my case, on a weekly basis, if I have an issue where I'm having problems with a welder, which there's a lot of great welders and I don't have it often, I have to watch what I tell these guys, and I suppose I fail at the honesty part because I don't always tell them the truth. I really try to use tact at my job as best I can. That's one of those things I'm working with. I'm trying to work on and make myself better at. And I kind of dumb it down a little bit. And in dumbing it down to try not to hurt their feelings, because you want somebody to succeed, and you ultimately want people to get better at whatever they're doing. I don't always tell them the truth. I probably should. I just have to do it with more tact. But we all have these little moments during the week where, they call them little white lies that may save somebody's feelings. At times, there are big lies that people tell. Relationship and marriage ending, and just huge lies that destroy a situation, and everything in between those. At the end of the day, a lie is still a lie. If you believe in God, there's no one. Everything is sin. There's no one sin that's greater or worse than the other. We can attribute a value to sin, but the reality is God doesn't see it that way. And that's the way lying is. A lie is a lie, no matter how you look at it. You may put value that one lie is worse than the other because of the damage it does, sure. There are some lies that are more damaging than others, but at the end of the day, a lie is still a lie. And I think that's where society has come to justify a lot of things, is how much damage is it done. And that's unfortunately not the correct way to look at things that we're doing wrong. So as far as honesty, how are you with the people in your life? How are you with the people you run across? Are you honest with them? Do you there's a lot of people who lie for a living. It's a rampant disease that they don't go, more than a few minutes without telling somebody some sort of lie, especially at work. They say, well, it's a dog eat dog world and you can't do this, and you don't want to let them know that, and all this other stuff. And we've got to that point to where there are some places in the industries that we deal with where lying happens every other minute. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. We have big conglomerates and that people, investment firms and things like that, that have lied in the past, and it's cost people millions and billions of dollars. It's a disease in our society that we are overlooking, and in a lot of cases we're justifying. And I think that's where we need to take a minute and take a step back. And maybe this week, I know talking about this has made me more mindful of my what I'm saying and doing with and my interactions with people and the person that I strive to be. But and it's helpful to identify when you're in a situation where these issues are coming up. So this week, take a minute, be very mindful when you're dealing with people and the things you say. And a long time ago when I was a kid, the best policy is think before you speak. You can't. It's debatable, but you can't really lie. It's not a physical trait. It's something that you, as far as something you do. It's something you say. It really deals with your mouth. So if you stop to think before you speak, or think about what you're going to say before you interact with a person, you can catch yourself and maybe approach things a little differently. Go on to maybe it's just tact. We lie a lot of times to avoid circumstances, to avoid confrontation with somebody. You don't want to deal with telling somebody the truth, because that's going to lead to a bigger and harder conversation, or maybe you're guilty of doing whatever the case may be. We lie for all sorts of reasons, and it's something that if you're mindful of and you give it 2 seconds of thought, maybe you can start to cure if you're doing it a lot of times. I know that there are times where I've had to really work on this with not trying to hurt people's feelings or really not wanting to deal with a conversation at times. I've done it. I'm not here saying that I'm some sort of angel. I'm here because I'm identifying things I have done in the past and still at times catch myself doing. And that's something that, I know we all deal with. So, take a minute this week, think before you speak, and really try and work on the honesty portion of your integrity. We're building this ship, and if the hull, the bottom of the boat, the bottom of the ship is called the hull. If the hull is what keeps the ship afloat, then we're building it with these character traits such as honesty. And we're going to build it up one by one. We're going to keep talking about them every week. And we'll see if we can't make a little difference in the people we are in this world. Society's getting out of hand, and what we're allowing, what we're justifying is really getting off a track of some of the purity that we've had in our lives in the past. And, you can call it what you want, progress, everything else, and stuff like that. But the reality is we have lost our way, and we need to get it back. So that being said, I want to challenge you this week to go through, have those paused moments, think about what you're going to say to people, be honest in how you present yourself, and really just work on the tactfulness. And if it's going to get you into a hard conversation, well, maybe then it's just going to get you into a harder conversation, and it's something that you're going to have to deal with, but at least you've been honest about things with somebody. So that being said, we'll see you next Sunday, and I want to thank you once again for watching. A lot of you guys are really just being great about subscribing and liking and watching some of these, giving me feedback. So we'll talk to you next week. I'll see you when I see you.